All right, hey guys, this is my first update ever. I wanted to do one at 50 hours, but I just didn't have the time. So here I am at about 100 hours. I think I'm actually at 107. Wanted to give a update video. So how do I feel with dreaming Spanish? I love it a lot. I like the amount of effort that's required, which is virtually none. Realistically, there's a little bit of effort. Obviously, you got to pay attention to the videos and things like that. And 99% of the time so far, I've been able to. I know a lot of people complain about the super beginner, saying that it's a little bit more boring, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. I'm in beginner now, and my favorite series so far is Andrea's Calcetine series, and that's my favorite by far, even though I'm in beginner now. Do I feel like the roadmap is accurate? I actually do. So I only feel like I know a few hundred words, maybe a little bit more I could recognize. So I should be at intermediate in about 50 hours, in about 47 hours. I have my pocket notebook here, so if you see me looking down, then I'm looking at my pocket notebook because I try to journal in. This was when I hit my 100-day mark. Certain things in when I can. So I'm actually read this off. How I feel at 100 hours. So I'll go from what I'll call Duolingo 0 Spanish to now, because that's what I used. I'm a little bit OCD, so I'm just going to maintain my streak on Duolingo. I know it's not super effective. I know it. I get it. I just like to see the streak. From what I'll call Duolingo 0 Spanish to now, I do feel like I've improved. I remember I couldn't even understand the things that are fast video. The super beginner video that Pablo has on YouTube. That was my first introduction to dreaming Spanish about a month ago. This is day 29 for me, so I'm almost at day 30. I might just call this the day 30 update. Now I understand 95% of super beginner videos at pretty much 100%. There are about 16 super beginner videos, and if I can, I'll try to edit in what they are that are not within that category of me actually understanding 100% of all of them. So I keep them there so that I can essentially have my brain familiarize itself with the patterns that I'm not familiar with the words that I'm not familiar with. And all of those videos don't really fall into that category, but they might have vocab that really applies to me or that I really want to learn. So there's a video where one of the hosts or one of the teachers just bought a new car, and she's going through the car and saying what everything is. I understand what she's saying, but I still want to keep watching that video ever so often, just because that's super important to me, if that makes sense. My favorite series by far has been Calcetine. I said that earlier. Anyway, I feel amazing, like I'm a super beginner learning to become a beginner. No doubts yet. And this was me essentially 7 hours ago. I've been pretty consistent. The pace I'm going at right now is about 4 hours a day. But for the most part, I do think I'm being consistent, and I do plan on making up the hours of those few days that I missed. The first month, I missed a couple, or it looks like I missed a couple of days, but it's only because I upped my hours that day, if I remember. So how long have I been learning Spanish? This is pretty much the start for me. Like I said, I've been doing like a lesson on Duolingo ever so often, but I'm basically starting from scratch. I had one trip down to El Salvador. It was like a nursing reach out humanitarian, so that really made me want to learn Spanish as well. And I have other reasons. Also, my kids are learning Spanish, so I want to be a good influence for them. Yeah, we'll find out together if dreaming Spanish works. I actually don't have any doubts that it does work. I'm really enjoying dreaming Spanish right now, so I guess this is a good point now for the video for me to talk about the problems. I don't know if I should call them problems, but opportunity points for me. So one, I know that the accent that you hear doesn't really matter all that much, but I do want to focus on the Colombian accent, and then secondary the Mexican accent. So my favorite two hosts obviously right now are Andrea and Shell. Like, I know I'm new to dreaming Spanish, but Shell's product quality or video quality, whatever you want to call it, is through the roof. Watching her videos, her new ones, are like watching movies. It's so nice. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you have testimonials and things like that. I've seen the Reddit page. Any questions or ideas that I can implement in my studies to stay focused, let me know. I know the intermediate push seems to be the biggest hurdle for the whole Dreaming Spanish program. So I'm looking forward to that challenge. So I've also been getting a lot of hours outside of Dreaming Spanish. So like I said, I'm at about 107 hours. I want to say a little less than half of that is basically this channel called Spanish Boost Gaming, because I understand that we don't really learn while we're awake. Like, we put the work in to learn, you know, we kind of make a to learn list for our brain for while we sleep, and then that's when the information is actually encoded. So I understand that. But yeah, that channel has given me lots and lots of hours. I'm actually focused on doing a little bit less of Spanish Boost Gaming. I haven't been listening to any podcasts or anything like that, but I'm trying to do a little bit less of Spanish Boost Gaming because once I get to my 1,000 and 1,500 hour updates, I'm really only going to count the Dreaming Spanish time. I know that's probably against a lot of people in the community, against their views, but I want my 1,500 and my 1,000 hours to be Dreaming Spanish 1,000 hours, Dreaming Spanish 1,500 hours, so that way I can say, like, these hours with Dreaming Spanish has or has not made me this good at Spanish or this comfortable at Spanish. My number one goal with Spanish is comprehension. I think that's should be everybody's number one goal with learning any language. But the most important thing for me in language learning is being able to comprehend. So I'll come out with some other videos. I'm excited to hit my next benchmarks. I'll try to be more on time in the future videos that come. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and wish me luck. Okay, let me jump in here because I actually pulled up the roadmap. I didn't want to have to guess during that initial filming of the video. So let me pull up the actual roadmap and read it out and see what I can do, what I can't do, and then tell you actually if I think it's accurate or not, which before I start reading, I do think it's accurate. In fact, I think I'm a little bit ahead of what it says. But let's go ahead and read. So what I can do, you can understand some common words even if you're not 100% sure how to pronounce them. That's true. You can guess the meaning of some two-word sentences like go home or eat cake. I think this is way low, so inaccurate in a good way. I can understand long run-on sentences as long as they're, spoken at a beginner's speed and using pretty simple vocabulary. But only two-word sentences, that's a no. I'm way higher than that. I think I was way higher than that after like 20 hours, 25 hours maybe, if I had to guess. So again, this is level 2. So it says, some common words, hours of input 50. So we'll read level 3 after this because obviously we're not quite at 150 yet. We're at about 107, but we'll do both levels. So level 2 can do, there are only a few words that you could produce yourself. That's not true at all. For many words, you're still not sure what sounds they're made of. So I can produce a lot of words by myself. By a lot, I'm assuming maybe a few hundred. Correct. But I had a short conversation with one of my kids' teacher. They're in a type of DLI program where all of their schooling or most of their schooling is in Spanish. They're English speaking. They don't have any Spanish speaking family or anything like that. But they're getting really good. Maybe I'll talk about that in another first grade. So I was talking to the teacher at a recent field trip in Spanish, and she asked me if I've been learning my Spanish, and I said I have, but everything that I was talking about, it was all in Spanish. Everything that I said, it was all in Spanish. Everything that she said, it was all in Spanish, and I understood everything. Now, I will put context on that because I don't want you guys to think I'm some kind of unicorn or something like that. She was talking very simply. She wasn't talking very slowly, but she was talking very simply. And I was able to say things. I'll go ahead and explain in Spanish right now so you guys can see that I'm a beginner, but that I can kind of express myself for very simple things. So she would ask something like, how is your Spanish? And I would say something like, mi nivel de español es un poco mejor ahora porque yo uso un programa nuevo, and that's actually the speed that I would talk at. I didn't say I was good or anything like that, but I was talking at that slow speed. I was stopping to think what's new, what's level, what's all these other things. So you guys can see I am actually a beginner. But I was able to say, like, I've been learning because of this. I've been using this program, X, Y, and Z. She was actually really impressed, and I was impressed too. So I left that field trip. I did a little bit of chaperoning. I left that field trip feeling pretty good, you know. So I know I'm a very beginner. Because if she just started talking normal, I would not be able to keep up. I would not be able to respond to, you know, reading, not recommended yet. I have done like 3 pages of reading or so, maybe like 10 pages of reading. Shoot, it's not at my desk right now. But before I started Dreaming Spanish, I did about 10 pages of Peter Pan. And it was really just the prologue and the very first page of the story. I do plan on continuing to read because I would rather read than have a perfect accent. Grammar for basic sentence order, many common function words will remain unclear for a long time. That is true. I'm actually thinking about giving myself grace. I know the purists might get mad about this one, but I'm actually thinking about giving myself grace and being able to look up 1 word a week from the Dreaming Spanish videos, because there's like their formula works. I know so many words just from watching the videos, and it's like I don't have to think like, oh, that's this in English, that's this in English. I'm just kind of listening 80% of the time, but my brain a lot of the time wants to just quickly translate, which I'm okay with. That's going to happen. There's no way of getting around that, especially when you're at beginner levels like this. That's okay. But I am thinking about giving myself the grace to look up 1 word per week, because there's just a few, literally just a few, like less than 5 that pop up. And I'm like, I know this word when I hear it, but I don't know what it means. I don't quite understand. Like suelo. Suelo is one of those words, right? Suelo is one of those words. Peligrosa is one of those words. I don't know what they mean. Peligrosa, I'm not sure if it means like heavy or something like that. I really don't know. But once I decide on if I'm going to allow myself to do that, then we'll see. We'll see. I'll update you guys. And then suelo. I feel like it means something along the lines of fall or ground or something like that, maybe faint. I'm not sure, but I really want to know that word because I keep hearing it and I'm not getting enough context to know exactly what it is. So I think I'll do that. All right. So as far as level 2 goes, it's very, very below standard. At level 2, once you get to 50 hours of input, you should be, I think that the average person should be way ahead of what this roadmap says for level 2. And this is the roadmap that's under the progress page, not the one under the PDF. Although I think they're close to identical. So let's look at level 3. We are not at level 3 yet. We are in between level 2 and level 3. We're at 47 hours away from level 3. We're just reading it just cuz. So in about 50 hours, it says I should be. So you can follow topics that are adapted for learners. Oh, I can follow every topic. Nothing has been like, I don't know what they're talking about. Absolutely no videos have been like that. So credit to Pablo and the team for, having that stepping stone approach. So what you can do, or what it says I should be able to do in about 50 hours, 50 more hours, is you can now understand people if they stay within certain topics. True, I can already do that. They still need to talk to you in a way that's appropriate for you, but you know many words and you don't rely exclusively on visual information. That's true too. I don't really rely only on visual information, but it's hard to know because 90% of the time, the beginner videos have lots of visual information. I can feel that it's getting less and less kind of intentionally, but it has a lot of visual information, so we can't make a call on that one just yet. You still aren't completely used to the sounds of the language. That is correct. You have a good intuition for basic grammar like sentence order. I think that's pretty true. I think I understand sentence order, obviously coming from English, is pretty similar. You can now say quite a few words, and that will already be useful. Okay, I think that's a typo. And then it has the what you need to do and what you're learning portions, and I'm not going to read all of that. But at 150 hours, you should know about 1,500 words. I definitely don't know 1,500 words, not even close, I don't feel like. But again, this is 50 hours from now. This is where I should be. Do I think I'll be there at 1,500 words? I actually do think I'll be there at 1,500 words because the speed at which I'm acquiring words is pretty crazy. And my brain, I feel like, is doing a great job absorbing the information at the appropriate level. So one thing I do too, and I'll actually show you guys because you probably won't believe me if I just said it, but I keep a. Let me show you right here. I don't want to show you everything. I actually keep this eye mask at my desk, and obviously I have one at my bed too. But I keep this eye mask at my desk because there's some science out there. When you're ingesting information, like deliberately ingesting information, you really want to hold on to. You want your brain to encode it so that it actually learns the information while you sleep. It's best to take, 20-second, 30-second. If you can stand it, a couple of minute breaks, just at random intervals. Obviously, it's best if you're in a quiet, dark environment. I'm pretty much never in a quiet, dark environment unless I'm asleep. So I use those eye masks and put on the music that you can kind of hear in the background, maybe. I don't know if you can hear that, but I always have waves going. And I'll put those on after I listen to a bunch of videos in a row or do a Spanish session. And I will literally try my best to think of enough help. I think it helps my brain encode the information because when you do that, the science says you retain the information and you encode and learn the information at 10 to 20 times the speed when you're inactive and you're letting your brain just go through the information. It literally just replays what you did right before you take that break at like 10 to 20 times speed over and over and over again for as long as you kind of stay inactive or in that, quiet state. And essentially it just mimics sleep. That's exactly what happens when you sleep. So that's a little bit of my method. So bottom line, as far as where I should be with the roadmap, I do change my initial analysis after, reading it thoroughly, and it is below the mark. So at 107 hours, other than the known words, I am at a level 3 as far as that description goes. I can follow people if they stay within certain topics. I'm still not completely used to the sounds of the language, but pretty used to them. And people still need to talk to me in a way that's appropriate for me. Yeah. So the roadmap on target as far as, is it good? Am I good enough for these marks? Absolutely. We're ahead. Obviously, if you're here, you've probably seen other Dream in Spanish videos where the opposite sounds like it's true at the higher levels, but right now at the lower levels, it's not true.